Welcome to the Rise2Shine Podcast with Noelle Custis, where we ignite the spark to discover your favorite self. It is time to get real, ladies. Hey there, friends. Welcome to another episode of Rise2Shine Podcast. I am your host, Noelle Custis, and this week we have our very first guest. You are going to love her. She is a motivational speaker, a podcaster, a peak performance coach, and the founder and CEO of her business consulting firm called I Am Life by Design. She's also my mentor and my very, very dear friend, the one who truly casted my vision to build a business and my brand, Dr. LaChelle Wieme. Welcome. I'm so stinking excited.
Girl, you gave me all the chills and we haven't even gotten started. I am so glad. You're one of my favorite human beings. And so anybody who's listening to this podcast, you guys are in for a treat anytime that you get a chance to have Noelle's voice in your ears, because she is the most beautiful human being inside and out. And I'm so glad that we get to have this conversation.
I know. I can't believe we're here. I feel like we've been talking about this forever and it's like actually here and we're doing it. I literally remember telling you that you are going to be my very first guest. I don't even know. This was a long time ago when I had this vision. And I really believed that you were going to be my first guest because you were the one that really casted this vision of the life that I'm able to live now. And that was it has just stuck with me. And I'm just so grateful for you. So grateful.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm grateful for you too. And yes, I feel like God has given me this really fun, ability to be able to see what people are capable of even before they can see it in themselves. And I just got to tell you that this is just the beginning for you. And I hope you can feel that, because girl, there's so much that you are going to be able to do to pour into the women who are listening to this, and their lives are going to be changed because of you. And I'm so honored to be a part of your journey.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for saying that. And I will say, I still get butterflies when I come on here and do this. It has been such a surreal feeling that, I know we talked about it earlier, and I just really am so excited because that is really where my heart is at. And I feel like it always has been with this pivot that I made in my life, that I knew that I was supposed to serve women. And I feel like I have been so blessed to be poured into so much in the last few years through this journey, and to now be on the other side of this, to where I get to do this is so exciting.
Yes. Nope. 100%. Totally.
And you did see it in me before I saw it in myself. I will absolutely confirm that. All right, girl. Well, should we dive right in?
Let's do it. I can't wait.
Okay, I'm so excited. Well, I know I mentioned all of your working titles, or I should say almost all of them, because friends, I want to also tell you she is an anesthesiologist. So not only does she have this gorgeous beauty about her, but she has massive brains over here. And that's another reason why I love her so much. But I would also love for our listeners to just know who you are, a little bit about you personally, your family, whatever you feel comfortable with sharing with us today. I would love for our audience to know you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So thank you so much for that. And I love the fact that I do have all of these multiple hats that I wear. And I feel like it's really just this stage of my life where I recognize that I don't want to be put in any box. Neither do you. We both love freedom. And I have the freedom to wear my anesthesia hat. I have the freedom to wear my mom hat, to wear my, business coach and peak performance coach hat. And it's so much fun that I don't have to be in that box. Yeah. And so, that's a little bit about me. I'm from Minnesota. Desperately want to come in and visit you in California, because it's, Minnesota. Right. Right now I'm looking at snow out my window right now. And it's man, I'm ready for summer. But we have a good life. I'm married to my high school sweetheart. He's the one who took me on my very first plane ride when I was 19 and we were dating. And now he instilled this wanderlust in me. And I love traveling the world, as you know. So that's been one of the things that this freedom of this career has given me when I decided to leave my 20-year anesthesia career and really pursue the passion and the purpose that God is having on my heart.
Mhm.
Love the fact that I get to spend more time with my two kids. So right now my son is going to be 15 next week and my daughter is 11. So, and I get to see them more than I've ever saw them before. Like I get to do things that I always wanted to do. I got to write my book. I get to speak. I get to travel. I get to work with people like you. I get to do anesthesia when I want to do it because I still love that. So it's really just this beautiful life of freedom that I get to enjoy all the things that I absolutely love. So yeah.
I love that. And I know we have that in common, that we
Mhm.
both really live by that core value of
Yeah.
freedom. And I love that our kids, I was just realizing that
Yeah.
our, my kiddo is 15 as well.
Yeah.
So oh my gosh, so you totally get it.
Yes.
And it's fun going through, it's fun going through this stage with them and being able to spend so
Mhm.
much time with them,
Mhm.
because they just add so much value to our lives. We
Mhm.
think as they get older that yes, they become more independent, but there's
Mhm.
this really special thing about
Mhm.
spending time with teenagers and
Yes.
preteens. They're going through all
Yeah.
these changes, so it's so much fun. Well, I was thinking about all of the possibilities of the things that we could talk about, because I know you and I can get on the phone and we can chat it up all day long. And I was thinking, gosh, what is it that I really want to hone in on with
Mhm.
LaChelle? And I really wanted to talk about today just overcoming that fear and
Mhm.
stepping into our power, because you helped me with that as I was starting this new journey myself. But
Mhm.
I also remember you sharing your story
Mhm.
and just some of the things that you went through as you were growing up, even as a child, and then transitioning into adulthood. So I just thought we could explore that a little bit, because it really
Mhm.
stuck with me. When you meet someone later in life and you find out their backstory, I just feel like there's something so connected with
Mhm.
that. So I know that many of us, really kind of struggle with fear and self doubt,
Yeah.
especially in our formative
Mhm.
years.
Yeah.
Um, but could you recall just a moment or maybe an experience from your childhood or adolescence where you first became aware of fear holding you back?
Oh my gosh, girl. I think, I mean, I was full of fear from the time I can remember, honestly. And
Mm,
I think that what's so fascinating about who I am today is so different than the girl that I remember sitting at school and being afraid of being myself. I was so afraid of not fitting in and so afraid of getting, kicked off the table at the lunchroom because I went to a really small rural school. I grew up on a farm. There were like 16 girls in my whole grade, right? So if you weren't friends with them, you didn't have friends. And I just remember like being so scared that I was going to say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing. My hair is going to not be good enough. I remember getting a leather jacket one year for Christmas. I think I was 5th or 6th grade, and it didn't have a map in the inside lining, and the kids are like, that's not even a real leather jacket, like you're wearing a fake leather jacket, and like made me feel like a dork, right? And so
mm,
I didn't wear this leather jacket. I remember going to garage sales when I was a kid and buying Guess jeans, even though they weren't my size, and knowing that the Kmart brand of jeans had the same patterns on the butt pocket, and I could cut off the Guess jeans that I got at the garage sale and sew the patch onto the jeans just so that I could be accepted, or the perceived acceptance, right? And so I just remember like always trying to prove my worth, to prove my worthiness, to fear that I was going to be rejected, to fear that I was going to be judged, the fear that I was going to be alone. And I think that those fears really followed me my whole life. I think
mm,
the difference is, and this is one of the, I think the fallacies that people have, is that someday you're going to just like have all this courage and like be like, I'm fearless. And that's bull. I'm just going to say, I'm going to try not to swear on your podcast, but it's bull. And honestly, like what I want people to understand is that our goal is not to be fearless. Our goal is to fear less.
so good.
Right. And so what that means is that recognizing that all of us have fears, every single one of us. And if you don't have a fear, it means that you're not growing.
Mm-hmm.
Every single day I get nervous. You mentioned that I'm a podcaster. Girl, I would rather be on my own podcast and be a guest any day because I can control the conversation. I can, if I'm being interviewed by somebody that doesn't know how to ask questions, I can feel stuck. But if I'm doing it myself, like I have that control. So I get nervous before I'm interviewed on a podcast, right? Like I get nervous on the daily and I
Mm,
get scared on the daily. But what the thing that I want your listeners to understand is that it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how much experience you have. It doesn't matter if you are in quote successful or not successful. Every single day we all have fear, and there's nothing wrong with you if you have fear. The difference is that as we age, as we gain some perspective around this, as we decide to fear less instead of being fearless,
mm-hmm.
we start to recognize like, okay, I noticed my fear, and then I'm going to accept that I can handle it. Because the biggest reason that people allow fear to cause this downward spiral and to not allow themselves to take the next action is because we're afraid we're not going to handle it. I feared success because I was afraid that it was lonely at the top. That was a belief that I had. It all comes back to this fear of being rejected and not, being loved. And so it's like, okay, well, it's lonely at the top. So I had a fear of being successful.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, well, and I can go into all of this, but I have to recognize, like, is that truth or is that just a belief that I have? And if it is true, like, can I handle it? And those are some of the things that I take my clients through, as you know, but it's really just this acknowledgement, like, okay, well, I can handle it. And then I can utilize whatever new tools that I picked up from the last time as we spiral up, as we go
Mm-hmm.
to the next level, the next version of who we are and who we want to be, and we conquer new things, we're still going to bump up against these fear bruises, is what I call them. It's this trigger that we've had or a belief that we've had that we maybe just haven't noticed for a while, and it bumps up against it as we're growing, and it's like there it is. And then we think, oh gosh, maybe I don't have what it takes, and so then we start to talk ourselves out of it and we start spiraling down. But instead, if you're like, oh, there you are, I recognize you, but guess what? I have all these new tools. So I can handle this even better than I could the last time. All right, let's do it. Even though I'm scared,
Mm-hmm.
action creates confidence, action creates courage, right? And then
Yeah.
we're like, oh, I didn't spontaneously combust. Like I'm alive. I can do this, right?
Right. Because I mean, as I'm listening to this and I'm going,
Mhm.
wow, you're talking about where you were as a child.
Mhm.
Um, and I know we've talked about this, that
Yeah.
you definitely felt like you were an introvert, more of an introvert as a child, right?
Oh my God. So like that's it's funny. So introverted and extroversion. I'm definitely an introvert because I refuel alone, but I'm
Mhm.
an extroverted introvert in the sense that I can converse with people. I can have
Right.
a conversation, but that was definitely not me. I was so afraid of saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong
Mhm.
thing, wearing the wrong thing, that I just existed in this safe place. And I remember, Noelle, girl, like my life completely changed. Like I'm getting teary. My life completely changed the moment that I decided to build my first network marketing business. That's not my focus now, but that was the stage in which the catalyst to where I am now was started. And I remember thinking to myself, all right, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to give it my all so that I know that if I fail, at least I tried my best. And
Mm.
one of the things that they coached us to do was to post on social media. Girlfriend, like that was freaking terrifying to me because it's like all of the alarm bells of you're going to get rejected, you're going to get made fun of, you're going to be judged, you're going to be alone, just like screamed from the rooftops. Like I was so afraid. The only thing that I had ever posted up until then was the occasional like Toby Mac post from a friend and like edited pictures of my kids. And so I just was so afraid of being seen that I'd never put myself out there. And it was like,
Mm.
okay, all right, LaChelle, like you cannot say that you gave it your all until you give it your all. So you can't quit until you've tried. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to post. And I remember starting with something as simple as a Jesus calling every day. I would post a
Mhm.
Jesus calling devotional. I remember being terrified. Oh my gosh, what are people going to think? Are they going to think I'm this Bible banger who's going to judge them the next time they see me? Like, I don't want that perspective, but I'm like, gosh,
Mhm.
these devotionals are making such an impact on my life. And if I post them, then maybe that's accountability for me to read it every day. So I started posting it. I was getting all these messages in my inbox saying, LaChelle, thank you so much. That's exactly what I needed to hear today. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like my little bit of courage is actually blessing somebody else.
Mhm.
Not dying. People aren't running away from me when they see me at the grocery store. And so I'm like, okay, all right. Like it's okay for me to be the girl who, likes country music and IPA beer and swears a little. And I love Jesus. So I can be all of the things, right?
Love that.
And so it's like, okay, so I started to prove to myself like this tiny little step in courage and like, okay, I didn't die. So now I'm like, okay, now they're telling me that I should, um, friend request people. I'm like, but what if
Right.
people reject me? What if they don't accept my friend request? And
Mhm.
okay, do it. And then now I went from 200 friends on Facebook to now I'm like having to delete people so I can stay within the 5,000. And it's like, oh gosh, like just these tiny little steps in courage, Noelle, have led me to like, okay, I did it. I didn't die. I
Yeah.
still have friends. My husband still loves me. Okay, I could do this. And then I do the next brave thing. And that's what thing people oftentimes think that they have to be confident before they can take action, but really it's just like a couple seconds of
Mhm.
courage. And then it's like, okay, all right, I can do it. I'm going to try it. And then we realize that, man, that wasn't so bad. And then we can do the next thing.
I love that so much. And I know, again, this is why we could sit here all day because I listen to this story and I go, oh my gosh, I know it was me. So much of what you're saying was me. And I know that there are so many women out there that are either still stuck in that place
Yeah.
or they are starting to feel that shift of, I'm going to start stepping in,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
want to start
Yeah.
stepping in, but
Yeah.
how do I do that?
Mhm. Yeah.
So I loved that you said it was the little brave moments. I love that
Yes.
you shared that there was a more of a pivoting moment where
Yeah.
getting into network marketing, it was like, okay, I'm going to do this thing. As
Yeah.
a matter of fact, you and I met
Mhm.
because I was in that same exact space and I needed to get on social media. And I thought, what
Yeah.
am I doing? Feeling all of those feelings, which leads me to that
Mhm.
whole concept of as you're starting to step into
Yeah.
this bravery and you're starting to
Yeah.
desire to
Mhm.
make this shift,
Mhm.
we know that it takes courage and resilience because you gotta
Yeah.
keep telling
Mhm.
yourself, I didn't die, I'm
No.
good, you know.
Yeah. Right.
But I also know that it's really common for women to struggle with that whole imposter syndrome or feelings
Girl.
of not feeling enough,
Yeah.
not feeling enough to put themselves out there. So, how did you really start to overcome
Yes.
that as you started to grow in this?
Okay, so here's the deal, you guys. Like, I didn't.
I love it. Thank
I
you. I
no,
love the
I
transparency.
didn't. I didn't. And like again, girlfriend, like I coach people who are like they have like $1 million businesses and they still feel like that. Every single time that we level up to this next level, we're like, I don't know if I can do that. I can't charge that. Like so many of my clients that I work with are making way more money, like 2, 3 times as much money. And it's not because they're doing anything other than they're charging what their services were worth in the beginning.
Mhm.
Or they started to recognize, like, wait a minute, I can attract this level of clients. I don't have to attract this level of clients. Like I'm capable of it, but it's really freaking scary. And so what I want to say is that you're probably never going to overcome it. It's a matter of
Mhm.
literally just making the decision. And as you know, like my whole like mantra in life is desire, decide, do. So you have to recognize, like, do you have a desire for better? If you are perfectly content with where you are, then that's the one thing. But if you know in your heart, like if you can look me in the eye and say, I don't want anything better, and you can be serious about that, then this is not for you.
Mhm.
But if you're like, LaChelle, I do want better. Like I feel like fine is my least favorite 4-letter F word
Mm.
because we can allow fine to get in the way of better, best, what God wants for us. And so it's like my marriage is fine, my weight is fine, my job is fine. And it's like, but really is it? Right? If
Right.
you feel like that, is chances are like you would love to be in love with your husband. You would love to feel sexy in that dress. You would love to show up at what you do every day and feel like you're making a difference and that you're getting paid your worth, right? Like
Right.
all of us probably can admit to that. So you desire and you recognize the desire and then you make the decision
Mm-hmm.
to freaking figure it out. Like you're like, okay, yeah, I'm freaking scared, but I'm making the decision to do it anyway. I'm
Mm-hmm.
making the decision to hire the coach like Noelle that is going to teach me what I need to do. I'm making the decision to read the books, to listen to the podcasts that are going to give me the tools. I'm making the decision to figure it out, to meet the people, to learn the things because there is no other option. And then the
Right.
last part is the doing. And once you do, then you can discover like, okay, maybe that wasn't so hard. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that it's like this whole imposter syndrome and I had to make the decision, like, I desire to make massive impact in this world. I want to hear, well done, good and faithful servant. And that
Yes.
means that I need to get out of my own damn way. I need to get out of God's way and I need to start stepping into things that scare me. And I made the decision, even though it's uncomfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just gonna say that we all have big butts, and I cannot lie. And you other brothers can't deny. Like here's the Midwest, middle-aged mom rapping sheet. But the thing is that we all have big butts. And what I mean by that is a butt stands for belief underestimating truth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Belief underestimating truth. So if I believe, okay, let's just go back to posting on social media. I started my first coaching program, which was you were a part of it. It was to teach you how to do a year's worth of content in a weekend.
Yep.
That led me to what I do now because I recognized that it wasn't just what do I post? It's why am I not posting? Why am I afraid to be vulnerable and
Mm-hmm.
authentic? Why am I not being consistent? Because they're sabotaging things that are going on underneath the surface, right? Those are
Right.
the buts. I
Mm-hmm.
would I would start this business, but I don't I'm afraid of I don't want to post on social media. I don't want to grow my business on social media. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
what is the belief underneath that? The belief is my friends and family are going to make fun of me. My belief is I don't want to look stupid. My belief is I don't want to fail in front of an audience. My belief is I'm just not good at that. My belief is I don't have enough to say. My belief is I don't know enough about the product so I can't really post about that. My belief is, am I hitting any nerves here?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
just
Am
to
I,
add to that,
yeah.
I remember as I was going through this journey, I heard through the grapevine that one of my former colleagues had said,
Mhm,
"Who does she think she is?"
mhm. Yep.
And that
Yep.
was such a huge trigger for me. And
Yeah.
I had to dig deep
Yeah.
to get past that. So yes, this is so
100%. And
relevant.
that's brings me to another thing. Okay. So like I would start this, but what if
Mhm.
people think that I'm arrogant? What
Right.
if the people think that I'm too good for them? But what if I don't have any friends? What if everybody leaves me?
Mhm.
Okay, so like we fear both failure and success, guys. Like I fear both of them on the daily.
Yeah.
But the thing is that you have to dig deep and think, okay, well, what is my belief around this? And I listed a whole bunch. So I would encourage you guys, if you have something that you're scared of, what is, or I'm sorry, I'm going to even say it further. Like, what do you want? I would do
Mhm.
that, but I'd be making more money, but I'd start that, but I'd post, but I would be, more consistent, but like, where are your buts?
Yeah.
And then asking yourself, like, what are the beliefs that you have around that? Where are the buts, right?
Yep.
And then you have to identify, like, okay, is that truth? Are you Noelle, I'm gonna pick on you. So
Yeah.
like you started your network marketing company, you ended up retiring, like you're freaking massively successful in all the things that you do, and now your podcast is gonna be, just the same. So who do you think you are? And then I think about that and it's like, sorry, I don't know
You got a thumbs up.
I'm like, I know. I'm like, thank God. Thank you for acknowledging, like, I'm on the right track here. Sorry, if for those of you guys listening, like, I just all of a sudden had like a thumbs up, like, bubble appear in my screen for some reason. So if we think about that, it's like, okay, so what's the truth? The fear
Mhm.
is, the belief is that she thinks that I'm like she thinks that I'm whatever. What did you think? What was your belief around that?
My belief was, questioning myself, going
Yeah.
back to that fear of, oh my gosh, who do I think I am?
Okay.
Like for
Yeah.
doing something different
Hmm.
because my
Hmm.
my identity I thought
Hmm.
was in being a teacher because
Hmm.
that's all I had ever
Yeah.
known. So
Yeah.
stepping
Yeah.
into something different,
Mhm.
I started to second guess that.
So she bumped into this like belief that like, oh gosh, like who do I think I am? And then this isn't aligned with my identity. So maybe she's right. And maybe this is
Right.
wackadoo. Like this is just crazy. Why am I even thinking this? Right.
Yep, exactly.
What is truth?
And my truth was,
Yeah.
when I started to dig deep and really got into this space,
Yeah.
is, you know what? I know that I am meant for this. There were so many
Yeah.
confirmations, and
Yeah.
it was just a different time in my life,
Mhm,
a different season,
mhm. Yeah.
that I knew, because of my own experiences and just all of the things that led
Mhm.
up to
Right.
that point.
Yeah.
I knew that I was so locked into my why. I was so locked into my purpose
Mhm.
that I knew that I was supposed to do that,
Yes.
and that I was supposed to change and pivot, but I just
100%.
really had to anchor into that, I think.
Yes, 100%. And so it's really just a like you have to start making a list of truths. What's the truth? The truth is that we get to be whoever we want to be. The truth
Mhm.
is that if God is calling you towards something, then he is going to equip you. The
Right.
truth is that maybe your belief is that she's going to reject you and so are all the other teachers and you're
Mm,
going to be alone. The
yeah.
truth is that you have been blessed with more positive relationships since you left that. Not saying that the
Mhm.
teachers weren't great, but you, whatever God will take away, he will give you that or something better. And
Right.
that's the law of sacrifice in action. And so, like, even though it's scary at the time, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be alone, like, he delivered to you all of the tools that you've needed. He's
Mhm.
delivered you the most amazing people to support you on this journey. He's
Absolutely.
given you the vision. He has done all of things so that you can start to accept that identity, right? But
Right.
you have to start to think about it from the standpoint of like, what is the belief that I have around it? And then really just challenging it. Well, what is truth? Like who does God say you are? And what does God tell you about this vision? And are there other people in the world who have left their teaching careers to do something like this? Yes. So you
Mhm.
start to look for evidence to support what's true,
Right.
right? And this what's really cool, and you and I can geek out on this all day long. Like
Yeah.
brain science says
Mhm.
that my reticular activating system will then now start to find the things that are consistent with that truth. Because up until now, your brain will find what it knows to justify its already existing belief system. So it's going to find evidence in the outside world to prove that you're going to be alone, to prove that this isn't your identity, to prove that you should just stay being a teacher, because your brain will literally do that because it's wired to. But the moment that you start to look for truth, your brain will then start to find evidence to support that. And a belief is literally just a thought that you think over and over again.
Yeah.
Guess what? You get to choose your thoughts. Guess what? You get to reframe your belief system due to neuroplasticity. You get to create the identity that you want to. And once you accept this identity of who you want to be, and you start to, as you know, because you came to, a retreat that I did, with that's the
Mhm.
whole focus of this is once you can decide who do I want to be, and then you
Exactly.
start to allow your brain to accept that as your identity. I'm going to tell you right now, I know that you're identifying yourself as an amazing podcaster, and that's
Right.
scary. A week ago that would have terrified you, but now you're like, oh, I'm taking this identity on, baby. How does a top rated podcaster act? How does she show up? What does
Mhm.
she do before she gets on the air? How does she carry herself? How does she ask questions? And you start to identify as that person, and guess what? That person will start to manifest.
Love it. Well, I already know. I was sitting here thinking about it, because I'm going, oh my gosh, you're going to have to be a guest again, because that is such, that was another kind of
Mhm.
like up leveling in
Mhm.
my season of
Yeah,
growth, is really understanding how that works.
yeah.
And some people would say, oh gosh, this is like moving into that whole woo direction. Like, what is this about? But there is science behind it.
It's all science, guys. It's
And
brain
I
science and
just
quantum
love it,
physics.
and this
So
is why,
mhm.
gosh, I just know that, like I said,
I
we'll
know.
have to have that as a whole
I
nother
totally
episode,
agree. Yeah,
because
and
it's so
just
good.
like just to tap that in, like just to like wrap this up in a bow, right, for you. That
Yeah.
fear, you guys, like it is scary. It is. And I just need you to ask yourself, what would the worst possible scenario look like?
Mhm.
If 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 all of a sudden you completely failed, and we've talked about this, if you completely failed in your network marketing business when you were still a teacher, what would the backup plan be? Well, I'd just still teach.
Right.
Okay. And if all my friends left me, then you would get new friends, or maybe they weren't that great of friends to start with. You start to think about what's the worst case scenario, and then ask yourself, what would I do if that happened?
Right.
And that allows you to say, I can handle this.
Absolutely.
I can handle this. And that allows you to get that little bit of courage to take the next step. But the other thing, and kind of wrap this back up, is that identity of, I had to think back on this when I started my company all those years ago, and I was afraid to post. I would look at some of the people that I was really, really inspired by. And I would think to myself, well, what would Sarah do in this moment? Would Sarah be overthinking this post, or would she just post? And I had to start identifying as a top leader. I had to identify myself as a multimillionaire. I had to identify myself as a person that I want to be, and let that person help you make the decisions. And that person is not going to be sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want to post this, because worst case scenario, you delete it. Worst case scenario, you edit it. Worst case scenario, your brother makes fun of you and you're like, screw off. And, like, worst case scenario, like whatever, because you're identifying with the person that is going to make that massive success. And so, like you said, we could go on and on, but I just wanted to kind of wrap all that up.
Yeah.
Because it's that identity. It's just taking on the identity. I am someone who can handle it.
Yes.
I am somebody who can handle it. And that alone will help you to take that next scary action. And watch out, world. I can't wait to hear about all of the transformation that you guys have just by being courageous.
Absolutely. And finally, just looking back on your journey.
Yeah.
What is one piece of advice or wisdom you wish you could have shared with your younger self, knowing what you know now?
Gosh, dang it. That's so much. I think one. Okay, so I'm going to give you the answer to that question, is that I just needed to know whose I am. And I think that wasn't where I was in my journey. I had a ritual with religion. I did not have a relationship with the creator of the universe. And so I think that, like, because of where I am now in my life, that I understand that I'm the daughter of the king, and that it doesn't matter if I get kicked off the damn table or not, that I'm already whole and worthy and enough, regardless of what anybody else tells me. So that's probably what I'd say to my younger self.
Yeah.
And if I can just, like, say what I wish, that if I could get one thing out to this audience that is going to possibly change everything for you, it's that your thoughts create your actions, and your thoughts create your feelings. Your thoughts create your results. Like, your thoughts are the beginning of all of that.
Right.
And you get to choose again, that you are never a victim to your unsupportive spouse who thinks that your, next adventure sounds crazy. You're never a victim to, I don't have a big enough audience. You're never a victim to, I don't have this, or I don't know that, or whatever. You get to choose your thoughts that lead to your feelings, to lead to your actions, to lead to your results. And so none of us are victims. And the moment that you can understand that, the moment that you get to choose to rise above your circumstances and figure it out, is the moment that you get all of your power back.
Yep.
And that is going to change your life.
So good, LaChelle. Oh my gosh. I just have to thank you so much for blessing me and our audience today. You are truly an inspiration, and I knew that this was the reason why I wanted you on here right away. I couldn't wait. But you really did come into my life at a perfect time. It was just the perfect timing. You have continued to help me grow, on a personal level, but especially as an entrepreneur, someone who just wasn't even sure of what everything looked like. I loved how you had wrapped it up, and you do this. You're so good at it. Is, I'm going to put a bow on this. That's what you have done, is you've really started to put a bow on all of this for me, to where, I was able to have the courage to take those brave steps, and I was able to, dig in and anchor in all of the things. And so, I just thank you. You know how much I love you and adore you. So it has just been amazing to have you here with us. And Can you guys tell how well-versed she is? This is why she is a speaker. She is getting on some big stages. But as we come to the end of today's episode, I hope you have found LaChelle as inspirational as I have, and just the courage and the incredible journey of her overcoming her fears and really stepping into her power. You can see, I mean, it's just so evident how that has played out. And your story, LaChelle, just serves as such a reminder that we're not alone in our struggles. We absolutely, as humans, as women, we are. I loved that you said it doesn't just go away. It doesn't go away. We're still going to be stepping into fear all of the time. It's what do we do with that? What is the action that we do with that? And I love that. So we can overcome any of these obstacles that stand in our way. Please make sure that you check out LaChelle's info in the show notes, especially if you are an entrepreneur desiring to make a career pivot or simply wanting to level up your business. I really encourage you to connect with her. And before we part ways, I want to leave you with something to think about. I want you to really, as a listener, I want you to think about what is one takeaway? What is one insight from today's episode that resonated with you? And really take a moment to reflect on that and think how you can apply that. Because as LaChelle mentioned, you have to take action. You can't just sit and think about it, because if you sit and think about it, we're going to stay in our fear and we are not going to be able to spiral up and level up. So thank you for joining us today. And remember, it's never too late to step into your purpose and create the life of your dreams. Until next time, keep rising, keep shining, and know that the best is yet to come. Thanks for joining me here today. Your presence means the world to me. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider leaving a rating and review, and don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Head to the show notes and let's connect. Rise2Shine Co. is ready to support you in coaching, collaboration, life tips, or even a coffee chat. Until next time, keep shining, my friends.